first, welcome new beekeepers. I know for a fact we've got one here. Tatiana, I might make you reintroduce yourself. We've got new people walking in. All right, can you introduce yourself?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah, my name's Steve.
Okay.
Yeah, I live in Westchester and I'm a new bee. Basically, this is like my first time working with the bees.
Right, but you took our beginner course, so.
Yeah, I took a beginner course at Delaware Valley College.
Oh, you didn't take it with us.
With Vince.
With Vince.
Yeah,
The
Vince.
lawyer.
Yeah.
Actually, my niece got me to go up because my wife kicked me out of the house because I was making too much starter dough. When you retire, I didn't realize that you have to do stuff afterwards. So.
Was that sourdough starter dough you were making? Yeah, it really accumulates, don't you? I started doing it. I didn't bake any bread, but I kept making the starter, and I've got a refrigerator full of the excess starter.
Well, I've made close to 100 starters.
Oh my gosh.
And hundreds of loaves of bread. But the thing is, it's like people just say, "No, I don't want any more. I don't want any more."
Yeah, I'm gonna hire you to show me how to actually make the sourdough bread.
Be careful. Acquiring beehives can have the same.
That's absolutely true.
Absolutely right.
And is anybody else new? Like absolutely new, never been to a meeting before? Maybe you joined the club, but you've never been to a meeting. Yep.
Wayne Mosley. Took the beginner class last year and
Okay.
kind of in the apprentice program now. But the first
Okay.
meeting.
But you've never been to a meeting. It's funny, I've heard your name before. You don't have kids that play hockey, do you? Okay. And then Tatiana, I don't think I've ever been to a meeting where I've met you, so I was wondering if you could reintroduce yourself.
My name's Tatiana. I have the pleasure of learning from Ernie, also Ernest, this year for beekeeping. And next year I hope to have my own bees.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get bees. He's gonna come over with his dilemma of how to get bees on his property. He's gonna get bees. Do you have bees?
Two lives.
You have 2 hives. Awesome. Awesome. Why are you up here with
Wayne,
me?
you took the
Because you
beginner's
seem
course
to have
last
it
year,
under
right?
control.
Yeah.
So if there's nobody else, is there anybody else new? You're not being bashful, are you? No. I'm sorry, ma'am, have we ever met you before? Who's next on the how to graft? Mike. Mike, you ready to roll? So Mike did an event at the Cheslin Apiary and it was fantastic. I'm really hoping Mike does another one now that I have a little bit of experience. Next season.
So, your backyard. If you have a nuke, you can make a queen. So, we did an event at the club apiary where we actually took and we pulled some queens out. We grafted 5 cells on a homemade frame and popped it in, and we had really good success for the most part. So, we got, I think, 15 queens out of that. 15 queen cells. Hopefully, they come back all mated here very soon. Oh, hey, there's something here. So, what you need when you're grafting is gear. Always gear, more gear, lots of gear. So, this is a homemade queen cell bar. It's just a bottom bar for a regular frame. Losing my mind. This bar. So I'll cut down and fit on here. I make mine 3/4 of an inch thick because I like to use an 8 frame for grafting. And with this bar, you don't need to remove any frames. So you can actually push everything outside. The saw's right down the middle because the 8 frames are always just a little bit too wide. They usually put burr comb on the side. We'll replace that. So we like to use the JZBZ cups. You can get them all different kinds of cups, but the JZBZs work the best. For whatever reason, the ones that say they're JZBZ like don't work as well, and I think I figured out because they go down to a point in the middle. When you put the larva in there, you crush that larva a lot, trying to get it off of the little lip on the grafting tool. So see that great? This works really well. Little intensity.
Is that a magnifier in front of it?
Yes, this is a magnifier. So
What is that? Where do you get that?
you get this right down here in Harbor Freight. Super easy.
What's it called?
It's just a magnifying headset. So you can do it that way, or you can use just a regular little headlamp. Don't anybody have a seizure? Grafting tools, a couple different kinds of grafting tools. I actually had brought a German one with me, but I left it in the car.
I got a picture for you. There's a picture there. Well, yeah, there you go.
There you go. I actually like the one here. I've never used this one. I've never used that one, but I have them. So someday I'll probably try it. That one looks a little weird.
That's all I can find.
I'm just wondering why it has an extra little thing on the bottom.
It's a shadow. Shadow.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So what you would do is you would get the larva right here on the very edge of it, and it would be small, shaped like a comma is the best. You want to get it before it's fully into a C shape inside the bottom of the cell. Scoop it up with a little bit of jelly, drop it right in the cup, and you're pretty well good to go with that. I mean, you got to keep them damp. You can't let them dry out in the cups, which I think is probably where we had our issue this week. It was a little warm. Let it dry it out. My preferred method, crazy as it may be, is sitting on the toilet with the shower running to graft, because it closes the door. You have a bunch of steam in the room and keeps the room moist, and you're good to go.
I don't
Cover
have
it
a
up with
picture
a-
of that.
I said sitting on it with
Thank
the lid
you.
closed. With the lid closed. So, I actually prefer when I'm grafting to hold it like this. They make all kinds of stands and crazy contraptions for doing it. But I actually prefer to just hold it like this. To do it with my little headlamp on. Works great for me. And I had a horrible time trying to get grafts to work last year, so anything that works is good. JCBA cups. JCBA cups also have a cam, like the little piece that sticks up. They're actually oval, like egg shaped. So they actually, when you put them in, you can give them a little twist, lock them into the bar. Otherwise, the other ones are just perfectly round. If you don't get them in there tight, they're not going to stay. They'll fall out in the frame. There you go. That's what a good cell looks like. These are cells we made. These are from the grafting event. So they turned out really well. These cells are actually definitely in hives right now. So they were, if you can see here, there's royal jelly filled that whole thing up. They're very full of nutrition. Weirdly enough, these actually made black bees. They're all black. They're not any variation in color. They're just 100% black. So it's weird. I'm going to save one of them to see how it does for winter, and they can graft from it next year.
Mike, how many queens have you guys made this year?
60 or 70.
And sold?
We've sold about 45.
Okay.
45, maybe close to 50 now. So, because I've been selling one-offs here and there, because we're trying to get everything clean right at this point. So we'll get rid of what we need. We're playing with some, we're going to try to bank some queens this year. George is helping us out with that. Thank you, George. And then hopefully in the spring we'll be able to make early splits and do interesting stuff. So you can see in the middle picture there's different ages of larvae. Most of that larvae is way too big. Probably this one. You can't hardly see. She's probably about the right age. You can make a queen out of most everything on there. It's just not going to be a really good queen. So that's way too big, way too small. So
Why would the smaller
Closer picture.
why would the smaller ones not work out?
The eggs?
I'm sorry.
Why would the smaller egg cells not work out?
Eggs won't stick in the cup. They have to actually be a larva before you can transfer them. So I thought the same thing myself.
And Mike, why is the cell the seed have to be so small? It's just that the right timing of the royal jelly, like they won't get enough
See
by
this
that
one here?
stage. Yeah,
They've already started feeding that worker jelly.
right. That's
So
what I thought. Okay.
you want to get them before they start feeding worker jelly. You want to have the smallest amount of jelly possible, but there still has to be some. Otherwise, it won't stick in the next cell.
So which of those cells do you think is the preferred?
If I was going to do one, it would be this one, and you can't see it.
So you're not really just looking at the size and shape.
Maybe
of the
this one right here.
Yeah, bottom right. There you go. That one.
Doesn't look like
You're
anything.
looking at the jelly as much as you are the size and shape of the
We want to have minimal jelly.
So that's
And I like for, if I can, like hive side, it's a little hard to do the way I would do it at home because of not controlled setting versus controlled setting. Like, I try to get them right as the larva is going from being translucent to white. Because the larva is actually almost clear when it comes out. And it'll start turning white as it goes. And in a controlled setting where I don't have to be rushing because its temperature's wrong, there's a bee trying to sting me in the face, you know, all of that stuff, I can take my time and pick that very small youngest
that's
stuff.
why the one you would choose is the one we can't see. 'Cause
Pretty
it's
much.
still translucent.
So it's almost clear.
But if you're doing this for the first time, there's nothing.
Every one of
Crafting
those
a
is
slightly
fine.
larger larvae. It's you know what I mean. You're better off having success than not initially, right?
Yeah, and pretty much every one of those you could graft and it would make a queen. So it just might not make a good queen, a great queen. I mean, teeny tiny queen.
The one that goes through the queen clip.
Yeah, the ones that goes through the clip. But the good thing is, the small queens, they don't sting you anyway. So hopefully they make small bees. But let's remember, no proof on any of that. So at the yard, we're using 5-frame nukes to do our queen stuff, which is semi-problematic because as soon as these queens emerge, they'll lay all 5 frames full of bees, and then they want to swarm almost immediately. So we do a lot of switching. We give the nuke yard as much as we can, as much as they'll take, we give them. So
And Damon's going to talk about the 2 queen.
he's going to talk about the
Or
2-frame stuff, but that is also useful in the queen room stuff because and I have these. We're going to try out probably. I think we're actually going to. I'm going to put some of these together to use this week. This is a 4-way, 2 frames in each. And I'm not going to use it to make queens, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and pull our queens out that we already have made on a frame, put them in here with a foundation to hold them over, so that we can hopefully keep going making queens, because we're going to try to go as far as we can go when they come back fully segmented out and made. So if we might be making queens into September, who knows? So, any questions?
Yes.
Go.
If your problem with sticking them in a 5-frame nuke is going to storm because you run out of space, wouldn't a 2-frame be even worse?
You have to watch it. And like I said, I'm not going to use that to make the queens. I'm going to use that to hold queens. And I'm only giving her 1 frame. And I'm giving her a frame of foundation. So they'll have to build that whole frame. That'll buy you some time.
So you have to go in there constantly to pull out.
For me, because we're making queens in a bigger scale than a back in our
So how often are you having to pull a frame? Because there's only 2 frames for them. A couple times a week.
Yeah, not a couple times. About every other week. We get about 2 weeks. Like when I throw a queen in there already on a frame that she's already laid full, you got probably about 2 weeks. That frame will then emerge because we're pulling her with a capped frame, not an egg frame. So you get 3 frames of bees out of 1 frame out of 1 laid frame full of brood. So it's all about timing, and we're not the best at it. I mean, it swarms out in the yard. I'm sure we're throwing swarms out in the yard. I just do my best to try to catch them. So I mean, nobody's perfect. You do what you can. You do the best you can. Learn from your mistakes. Move on. So that's beekeeping all in it. So it's all that. Go ahead.
I have 2 questions. I want you to ask the group to say who's graphed here before, and then my other question is that box that you created, are there entrances for the bees?
Not yet. It's not done.
But there will be?
Yeah, there will be.
Okay. Can you ask the group who's graphed here?
Who's grafting?
Yeah.
Okay, who's grafting?
Okay, yeah. How many people have grafted here?
How many people enjoy it?
That's all you
Try it.
So that's interesting. I thought like as a 6-year beekeeper, I probably was the only one that never graphed. So I feel better that like I just learned how to do it,
I wanna learn.
and not a lot of people have done it. Is it? Why has anybody never done it?
I think we make it too complicated, and I think
Yeah.
it's what Mike does out at the apiary is great because anyone it's a $1 Chinese grafting tool and a 10-cent JZBZ cup, and you can pull a larvae out and
It
put it
seemed
in.
very accessible, very easy to do.
Yeah, we just need to make it.
Need more people to come out and do it.
We need to do it again because I really
Yeah.
enjoyed that.
We're gonna work on it next year.
Do you want
Talk
it on a
to George.
weekend at some point?
Okay. No, the problem with doing it on the weekend
Uh-huh.
is if we do it on the weekend, you have to put the cells in a hive on a Wednesday.
Oh.
So that's where it gets complicated, but we can make that happen. We're gonna do some classes.
But we did it on a Friday and you put them in on Tuesday, right?
Something like that.
Yeah. So what's the difference? Tuesday, Wednesday?
Yeah, something like that.
What's the point of, is that to keep bees out that,
So we don't get stung in the face
okay,
while we're
so
trying
that's,
to-
yeah, okay.
Wait, that tent with 4,000 holes in it?
Yeah, but hey, only one of us got stung in the face. Who was that? Donna?
I don't know who.
You?
I don't think so.
Yeah, stung in the neck, didn't you?
I don't think so.
Because we set up a little thing where we go out and then go around the vehicle, come back, and not a straight line back.
Oh, I
and
went
somebody
chasing me.
walked straight back to the
Yeah,
to the
that
tent.
was me. That was me.
So, and for the most part, it worked. We didn't really have any bees bugging us out there.
No, I thought it was pretty good. Yeah.
So maybe we can buy the grafting tools in bulk, and people that show up can take home a grafting
I gave
tool.
everybody a grafting tool to show up.
Cool.
So, I mean, they're like $8 for 15 of them.
Right.
So,
Yeah, they're pretty cheap.
everybody that showed up, I gave a grafting tool to take home because when you're grafting, if you don't get it, you actually take and you lick the jellies and the honey and stuff, because that's what it tastes like. It tastes like honey. Off, not the larva, just the goo. So, but you know, and but yeah, I didn't want it back after y'all had them in your mouth. So.
Gotta have standards.
Can you give us explain the process after you've grafted the queens emerge?
Okay.
From that point, what do you do with them?
Sell them.
Can they? I mean, can they all just live in the same box?
No, they can live in their own nuke. You can put because we have every one of them goes into a separate nuke.
Into a separate nuke right away,
Mm-hmm.
and then they get bred, then they start laying eggs, and then you can sell the nuke.
No, we don't sell the nuke. We sell the queen out of the nuke.
Oh, okay.
And then generally the day that we sell the queen out of the nuke, we put a new cell rate back in to start the whole process over again. So you got to graft on day 4. You got, and it's like between day 3 and day 4 because you want it to be less than 24 hours after they emerge, but more than probably 2 because you're never going to see it. So, and then you have 10 days. You have 4 days after you graft, the cell will be capped, and on day 4 you can technically move her into what I use is I put her in an incubator. Because I don't have to worry about the other bees stinging it down or any of that stuff. Right now we have grafts out there that we've left in. So they the reason they got capped on day 3 was probably the big cells that you saw in there. They were probably too big. But I was doing it I actually did it in the car. So, you know, not everything's perfect. But we'll get some queens out of it, and if they lay really well, hey, they'll last at least a year, and recommend you change your queens out every year anyway.
Do you guys usually generally sell the developed queen, or do you usually sell, or not sell, but move
Sell?
the eggs, the cell, queen cell itself,
Mhm.
and put it in a new hive? That way,
That's what we do.
bees would accept the new queen versus if it's a hatched out queen, they gotta be in a cage and all that kind of stuff, and they
But if it's a hatched out queen, you can put a queen cell in a queenless hive. It's only been queenless for an hour. You can actually take a frame of eggs and larvae and a nice good brood frame that has a honey cap on the top. You can put that in a 2-frame box and a cell immediately, and you don't have to worry about nothing.
That's what Damon's going to explain next. That's why we
Yeah,
organized
so
it this
far,
way.
I don't want to jump into his.
Okay, sorry about that.
But yeah, the acceptance rate is very high for cells versus for mated queens. You got to have them in a cage, candy release. You got to make sure they're hopeless before you do it, or they're just gonna kill her and make their own anyway.
Yeah, but
So-
once you graft and you have all those cells, you've got to put those cells in
Somewhere.
individual
Yeah.
boxes before they emerge, because the first one out is going to kill the rest
of
of
them.
them.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, so you've got to take those cap cells and get them somewhere before the queens start to emerge.
We grafted on Monday if they did on day.
Because if you forget,
You'll have a bunch of
you'll have one queen.
Yeah, one queen and a bunch of, but if you're only looking for one, hey, the best one is usually the one that survives. So, hey, if you're only looking for one nuke.
So you do that and you put the queen cell in there, she emerges, she gets bred, you take her out, you put another cell back in,
Correct.
you can just keep doing that
Correct.
with the same bees in the same
Yeah.
box.
That's what the
They'll
queen
get a
team
little-
does.
It'll get a little overcrowded and then you'll be splitting and splitting and splitting. So,
Right.
but, yeah, I mean, we're up to, I think, almost 40 nukes out there right now. So, it started out with like
In the
9
queen yard.
in the queen yard.
Yeah.
And another
20.
20 in the apprentice yard. So George won't let me steal queens out of that.
Yeah,
Let's, I'm sorry, go ahead.
when you stick her in there, she has to have all the resources, right?
Well, they have to have,
When you put the cell in there, there's gotta be all the resources
right.
she has.
And you just reminded me of something else.
Okay.
When you're making queen cells, you need a minimum of 200 nurse bees per cell. That's the minimum. The more you have, the better it's going to be, because they're actually going to feed that queen like 10,000 times before that cell gets capped. So that's, if you're doing nukes, you want the lower number is best. If you're building with a nuke, 5 cells should be no problem. You should definitely have 1,000 nurse bees in a well-populated nuke.
So how many cells would you put in a 2-frame? One.
And we're going to play with that too, because I've seen videos where they're using 48-hour cells.
Oh, I know George likes to experiment.
Yeah, we're going to play with
Well, let's talk for a second about genetics. Where are you getting your stock?
My stuff comes from cutouts that I've done. So Survivor stuff. Everything is Survivor. I have some Ed stuff, and I use some of Ed's stuff because everyone knows Ed has the best stuff. So he has the best queens. So I have some of his queens that have been mated in my yard. So, and I keep 15 lines of genetics in my personal yard. Right now we have about, I think 6, 7 in the queen yard right now. Trying to flood that area so they don't come back mean. The club's had a history of having mean queens come back. They have to be mean when they come back. That has changed this year. They're not coming back like that. So they go out and they're friendly. I've actually brought one home just to see if they're going to be okay in my yard. I am actually running simultaneously with the club's yard. I'm running those same cells at my house. So I can compare. That way I know when they're back mated. When they're back mated in my yard, I can go over and be pretty confident they're going to be mated in the club yard. So that way I know when to start checking things.
And you have different drone congregation areas for those two, so they're having completely different genetics.
Yeah, they're mating.
Yeah, they're completely, and they're both coming back fairly docile. They're not. I mean, once they've got a mated queen in there, I'm a big soup guy. I can actually get in the hives at the club yard with just a veil. I'm out there mowing pretty much with just a veil because I've been keeping the yard cut as much as possible, trying to keep ticks down, trying to keep it decent. So, but yeah, I mean, a lot of my genetics are now in the club yard. So, because the tree cutouts I've done, I just put another tree cutout. I don't know if you guys look at the pages on Facebook. You guys look at Facebook stuff at all? Anybody?
Mm-hmm.
Because I post like pictures of our brood, pictures of our queens that we're making. I should probably start posting pictures of the cutouts that I do so you guys can see where these bees are actually coming from, where they're originating. I did a tree cutout last week or 2 weeks ago that I brought over to the yard. I was actually able to run a chainsaw and they did not try to kill me.
How do you think cutouts have better genetics?
Because they've been on their own. These cutouts are at least 3 years old with no human intervention. So they gotta be, they've been surviving on their own. They gotta be better than anything from the south, I can guarantee you that.
So you think they have better mite resistance or something like that?
Better mite resistance, better longevity. I mean, there's tons of reasons. I mean, they're local. I mean, they've been in a tree for 3 years, or they've been in I did a cutout in Chemist Square. The lady who lived there died. She used to enjoy, the story is she used to enjoy watching the bees coming in and out of the house. She had 2 separate hives on either side of the window, and she used to sit in a lawn chair and watch the bees flying in and out of the house. And she used to relax her. Hey, that's great. I love sitting out in the yard in my lawn chair watching my bees come and go out of the house too. I don't want them in my house, but, you know, so, but, and then she had passed. 8 years later, somebody bought the house. The bees are still in the wall. Wow. So I cut those out and I brought them to my home yard. They did fantastic over winter. They became some of the grafting stuff for this year. So, and they're fairly docile. That was another one where I was up there after I had cut the hole out. My veil actually fell off because I was just going up to look, see if I could see the queen. And my veil fell off and then nobody tried to sting me in the face. That's a plus in my book. So that's usually where it goes. That's if I'm going to get stung somewhere, it's generally in the face. So. Anything else?
Mike.
Do you know why?
Do I know why they sting me in the face?
Yeah.
Because I'm ugly. They don't like me.
Does anybody know why?
Why he's ugly?
I don't know.
Yeah, because
Born that way, you can't help it.
a bear is their natural predator, and the only way to affect the bear is to go to the bear's eyes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Also, they go after carbon dioxide.
It's also what?
Your breath.
Oh, your breath.
That's what they smell.
Well, I have bad asthma, so I breathe heavy and I breathe a lot of moisture. So,
It's a bar over there.
yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Do
We
you want
really
to put a plug
appreciate
for the Queen team? Ready for a plug for the Queen team? Mike's you're always taking new people on the Queen team,
Yes,
right?
come out to the Queen thing. After we leave here, I'm going to the yard. I'm gonna be grafting into an experimental cage. So if you want to come out, come out.
it. Awesome, thanks.
When?
Hi, I'm David Ireland. For those of you that know me, you know me. Those of you that don't, I'm in charge of the community engagement for CCBA, and there's a lot of you that wish you didn't know me. Anyway, I got into two-frame hive. I'll talk a little bit about this, talk about why I got into it. Last year on February, I thought about getting into queen rearing, and actually didn't completely get into it. I got more into either the two-frame hive than the queen rearing. I was researching all these boxes that had proprietary frames, and I don't like things where it's only a one use. It's only you can only use it for one thing, like these little small boxes with these little frames. That's all they were used for, was queen rearing. I want to use existing equipment. I don't want to go out and buy something that can only have one use. So I started doing homework. This gentleman down in Atlanta, outside Atlanta, was beekeeping, and he was talking about the uses of two-frame hive, and he sold them. So I started researching his two-frame hives, what he did with them, how he was manipulating them, and I realized really quickly it was a great tool. So I don't want to go up here and say this is where you keep your bees over winter. You can't do that here. But this is a tool. It's a tool you can use coming out of winter into spring for queen rearing, as Mike was talking about. I won't get deep into that because obviously you want to know queen cells in there, and you can do that with this. But also if you just want to create splits very quickly. You got to get your queen out, get her somewhere fast. This is it. You shake your bees in here, put some food in there, put some brood in there, get the queen in there, swarm cells, stick them in here, quickly get a split. Fast. Quick. Now, I've heard someone say, can it swarm? Absolutely. But I'm impatient. I want to get this going fast. I want to quickly get my bees going. What happened this year was I had nuke box. I had to go take to another apiary. They had to do work on their property, so I brought the nuke box back to my home apiary. And I got to look at the nuke box, and I thought, I'm going to split some bees, split some hives. I'm going to force this hive to want to create swarm cells and quickly put the frames in two-frame hives and create hives from that. This happened quickly, very fast. Again, queens went out, bred, came back, and I had hives ready to go, which then went to a 5-frame. Now, why did I just start with the 5-frame? What's the one resource we don't have enough of as beekeepers? All of us.
Frames.
Nope. Nope.
Queens.
Nope.
The second thing.
What's the one thing none of us in this room have enough of?
Time.
Thank you. I'm impatient. I just told you that. I want this to be quick. I want to move fast. I don't have a lot of time. I don't want to inspect 5 frames to look for a queen. It's a waste of my time. I can open this up. I have 4 sides to inspect. I'm done. Found the queen. Now 5 frames. That's the value to me. I don't want to waste my time. And I'm in there weekly, just checking these things. And as soon as I'm done with it, break it down. It's easy and small to store. 3 pieces. That's it. I don't have a lot of work. I don't have a lot to take care of. This guy that I bought it from, he decided, I think, to use oak. It's not light. I don't recommend doing that. If you can do it pine, do pine. And this is not my favorite design. I don't have a way to feed. I want to probably put some holes in here for air and feeding. But again, quick, fast, easy. Get it going, take care of the bees, get them up and running. Same thing with queen rearing. If you want to put your cell in here, you can do that. Quickly find the queen, marker, cellar, put another cell in there, put some more bees in there, fast. Okay, again, not for overwintering. Although, this guy was down south, he was overwintering down there, but our climate is very different.
You probably could overwinter that if you had like 3 or 4 of them strapped together
Just give it to George.
and put a bunch of foam on them.
I'll figure it out.
Go figure it out. And it doesn't take up a lot of space, and that's the other thing. I have a rack where I keep all my hives, and it doesn't take up a lot of space on my rack. So, and worst comes to worst, the queen fails, maybe the eggs don't take, whatever, cells don't take. What's the worst that you just lost? 2 frames. That's it. Or you got a bunch of bees here, and I got another one of these with the queen on it, fold it all together in another neat box. Bob's your uncle. You're all set to go. That's it. So you don't really have much to worry about. It's a simple solution, very easy to use, easy to set up. It's fast. Sorry,
What is Bob's your uncle mean?
Sorry, it's an Irish thing.
Oh, okay. I was like, I never heard that.
Look it up. It's an Irish saying. It's like yeah, and you're all set.
Gotcha.
Bob's your uncle. It's like
No worries.
sorry. Yeah, no worries. You're all set. Any questions?
Dave, for your feeding, can't you just make a shim to put on top?
You could, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not. As I said, I bought this way. There's more I wish he had done with the design, but I'm sure Ike would do a better job. I wouldn't necessarily buy from this guy. It's very simple, but there's some things about it I would change.
You could drill a hole and put a mason jar up top. That would probably be how I fed that 2-framer.
Yeah.
You know, and that's great. I mean, Mike showed basically the equivalent in an 8 or 10 frame box, right? So you could run an individual one like Damon's doing where you have 2 hives, or you can take a box and divide it up and make it into a bunch of compartments, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure you can make this also more portable. Like if you wanted to strap it down and take it somewhere.
And it's a temporary thing, so you don't need, if you could make that up with plywood, you don't need fancy box joints or anything on that. You could definitely homemade that pretty easily, you know.
I wonder if we could get Ike to make a short run of them. We'd all buy them.
I'm sure you could.
2 frame boxes.
Yeah.
I mean, how many does he have to make?
George was just contemplating if he could make them in his shop.
No, I can make it without the box joints. We can make a ton of those if they just use.
You don't think they would warp and?
No, the rabbit joints are fine. But yeah, if I went to Ike and said, make us 500 of them.
Well, 500's a lot. But
well, he would need to do.
I don't know how many he needs.
A bunch, honestly. Yeah, nowadays, because it's not hard, but he's got to set up his. Right. He's got to set up his stuff to cut a 2 frame instead of a 5 frame.
Club's not buying 500.
No, but a quarter of the club buys.
Why not?
It's quick. Normal size here and then shorter here.
You can advertise to the other clubs.
Put it in the budget. I'm sure the board will approve it.
And you can get sold on
Right behind you.
It's not complicated. I'm sure people with that kind of shop can do it relatively quick.
But then you gotta build not only do you have to build the box, you have to build the bottom board, you have to build the top that goes along with it. So it's a bunch of.
I mean, if you have a 5-frame nuke, you just stick a divider in the 5-frame nuke. It
could.
makes a 2-frame. You guys do that at the apiary.
Yeah, we did that. That's how we initially 10 years ago we sold nuke boxes with the divider in
Right. And then they have 2 entrances on
And
either
they have 2
side.
entrances on either side. It gets a little bit messy as far as making sure the bees can't cross over at the top and the bottom.
Oh,
That was my only reason.
This is simpler in some ways. It's a one.
Yeah.
It's also great for
Quicker.
teaching as well. It's a great teaching tool. You want to teach
Yeah, I
someone
like that.
very fast.
The nice thing about the 5-frame nuke is you can pull the divider
And make it a 5-frame right
and,
there.
and make it a 5-frame nuke and overwinter it. Like you can't overwinter it in that. They generally won't survive in that for winter.
This is my quick, as I said, this is a tool. This is not, we call it a hive or a nuke, but really it's just to get, it's more of a nuke than.
But Damon always has a queen sitting ready to go somewhere probably.
Yeah, trying to.
Try to.
Isn't Ernie the master of all just nukes? I don't think he even has a 10-frame hive. Do you, Ernie? No, it's all nukes.
It's all nukes.
So Ernie, what do you think? Could you make a 2-frame work over winter?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And if you wanted a medium version of this, it would do that.
Do you overwinter it in there? Do you overwinter a colony in that?
No, I've overwintered in a
1-frame?
5-frame medium.
Sure.
Wow.
With a 2-frame deep, what do you think?
Smack them together.
Insulated good.
If you insulate it well and the colony's small enough.
Yeah, and you got a lot of bees to start with.
Wait, why small?
Well, the amount they consume is related to the size of the colony.
Oh, right.
So the smaller the colony, the less it's going to consume.
You have to put a shim with.
You'd have to really shim it with some sugar. Yeah.
Maybe.
All right, folks, I got to run because as part of community engagement, Kimberton Whole Foods up in Eagleview is having a roundup. Tell your friends about it. Tell them to round up. I'm going up there to set up the pop-up for us and educate people about beekeeping. So I got to run. If you have any more questions, shoot me an email. My email is on the website.
Well, it's a good thing we put you before George then.
Take care.
So Mark's minutes, we'll see how long this really takes, but it is in, the Mark's minutes part will be first, and then I've got 2 other presentations that are not part of the minutes, so it'll be a little longer to listen to me.
Okay,
blabber
George.
on. I'm trying not to. So again, the committee leads, you're the people that make the club run. And whether you want to be a committee lead or not is kind of up to you. But I will ask you, like join Mike in the Queen team, or help out Monica on entertainment, or the grants committee with Paul and Lauren Helfgott and Ed Peters. The plant team is incredible. We did a tour of Hiroshi's property earlier this week. Just incredible walking around and seeing what he's done in a fairly small area. It says Mike, Charlie. It's not Charlie. It's Mike. So I'll fix that next time. Sorry, we'll get that fixed. And we'll talk about the women's bee group in a second. And go to the next. Yes, there we go. Conference update. We are looking at venues. We're no longer looking at venues. We're going to Delaware County Community College this year. Why don't we go back to Penn State Great Valley? Because they more than doubled the price. Wow. We went from $5,500 to over $13,000. And it's like,
They like,
what was the word I was going to use? It's not repeatable in public. So, yeah. We do have Brent Dunn already on the agenda. We are going out to world-class speakers and presenters and beekeepers to.
I'm not raising my hand.
Okay. You are raising your hand, but not on purpose. Okay, got it. So we're starting that. There's a meeting next week, Thursday, yeah, for the conference committee. For I think it's our second or third meeting to go further on. Equipment rental has become kind of an issue, and we're going to be working through this. Bill, Vince, Sean, and I are kind of looking at it. The process currently, if you want to rent one of the extractors, you go to the storefront, you pay for the extractor. We'll get an email saying, "Hey, somebody's rented the extractor." If you don't hear from us within a couple of hours, send an email to storefront@chescobees.org saying, "Hey, when can I'd like to pick it up this or that or whenever." Generally, because all the equipment is currently stored in the trailer here, we got to make the arrangement to meet you here to get you the extractor, and then we need to set up a time to get it back. So we're re-looking at that entire process of how we're gonna actually make that work. Thanks. Refreshments. Heroic efforts today. Bill went to Dunkin' and got us coffee and donuts, and Tony brought grapes from his vineyard, and somebody brought some more donuts, and Yvonne brought, what is that?
American breakfast casserole.
Apple breakfast casserole. No, that's not what it's called. It's called really good. Okay, I had some of that. It was quite nice. And then if you've got topics that you want to have at this meeting, let VP1, Donna, or VP2, Susie, know what you would like to see, what you would like to hear, who you would like to hear. We can bring speakers in if you want to do that. We have the ability to do that. We have the money to do that. So if there's somebody that you know that you want to bring in and they're looking for some kind of honorarium, we've got the money to pay for that. So, I'm not going to say the sky's the limit, but, maybe drone height is the limit. All right, next. Thank you. Newsletter. Who here has read the newsletter? All right, thank you. The rest of you, who's going to read the newsletter? Thank you. Really important to read that newsletter because I'll tell you, Carissa and her team put a lot of effort into this. People that wrote the articles put a lot of effort into this, and read what they have to say because sometimes it's really enlightening, other times it's hilarious. And for those that read it, know the hilarity. All right. And if you can make that play. So this is Vince installing a nuke. Notice
It's like a club nuke.
it's a club nuke. He's pulling the frame out to try to get it in there. He's got the frame out. Now he's going to try to get it into the box. Now I want you to notice Vince's face.
Does he not have a veil on?
So not only was he not wearing a veil, he had dark glasses on,
Good job.
which is
A bear.
A bear. So in the article, he does mention he got stung once. His wife, who was videoing it, got stung 3 times. She doesn't help him with bee singing. So that's how not to install a nuke. That's how not to have family helping you with your bees.
And this is why our bees get a bad reputation.
This is why our bees get.
Oh my God.
This is the other reason why bees get a bad reputation. That's Matthew McConaughey down in the bottom corner. Our speaker on the 17th of August is the gentleman, Adam Hickman, who was the bee wrangler for the rivals of the Amaziah King, which is a movie with Matthew McConaughey. These guys, all the beekeeping that was done in this movie was real beekeeping with real bees, and the actors, nobody's veiled. It was all wide open beekeeping, pretty wild beekeeping. Not the kind of beekeeping that I like to do. But that was the result. Is
The movie crew was veiled.
What's that?
The movie crew was veiled. I've seen pictures where the rest of the movie crew
Yeah, the
was
crew.
all suited up.
Yeah, the crew was,
Yeah.
but the people that were working the bees were not. It's, no, thanks. But he'll be speaking for the women's, sponsored by the Women's Bee Group of CCBA on the 17th, which is a Monday.
What's he speaking about?
About the movie and how it was done and how the beekeeping was done in providing for the movie.
It's kind of comical.
Yeah, apparently so.
Mark, are we going to record that?
Huh?
Are we going to record that?
Yeah, we're going to record that.
That's good.
Yeah. So he's going to describe how they pulled it off with hard work, creativity, and good humor. There you go. All right. All right, so September. We're not having a meeting here September in the morning. But we are having a bee day at Historic Sugartown. For those who were there last year, we had a great time. We had multiple stations set up inside the Carriage Museum and some even outside of the Carriage Museum in pop-ups. We had observation hive, we had bee equipment, we had, we're gonna do an extraction. People can come in and scrape the frames, put it in the extractor, hand spin the extractor out. We will have candle making and rolling candles. Emma, your girls did that last year, which was great. It was a blast. We'll have some honey tasting, so bring your honey and we'll set it up for people to taste different kinds of honey. So that will be from 10 to 1 at Historic Sugartown. And then that evening at George's Old Brick Farm, we will have a gala. So for those who are relatively new and have never been to the gala, you can rent a tux if you want, but you'll be alone because most of us will be wearing what beekeepers wear, which is generally, I guess some people dressed up, they put on a polo shirt and a pair of khakis, but a lot of us were wearing shorts or blue jeans, and it's as relaxed as you want it to be.
We do put the chandelier in the tree, though.
Put the chandelier in the tree.
Flash it up.
Right there.
There it is.
And let's see, what is it that folks should bring?
If you want, you can bring a dessert. That's it.
Okay. And
If not, that's okay too.
yeah, so George
But
and
as
the club are providing, right?
my wife and my sister
Do all the cooking.
appetizer, entrees, those kind of things.
Right, exactly.
And Tony obviously brings the beverage.
The beverage. As I do every time, talking about Tony's beverages, 16%. At least 16%. So if you have, it's a very nice mead or a nice fruit wine, please be aware that that might be a little stronger than you're used to. And if you're wondering why people are walking around either stumbling or slurring, they might have had 3 or 4 cups of it, because really, I don't drink, so I didn't taste it, but I smelled it. It smelled really good.
Very nice.
Yeah.
It's nice.
It sneaks up on you.
What?
It sneaks up on you.
It's, sneaks up you with a 2x4. And then in celebration of George's birthday, there will be a massive fireworks demonstration that evening. Okay, it's a township that's doing it for George, but it's a township that's doing it. And so we go to the front yard and the fireworks are right there. So it's really nice.
And we have a guest speaker, don't we?
We do have a guest speaker. I take that. Yeah, thank you for reminding me. Matthew Lowe, who did his science fair project. He's a junior at the Haverford School.
He's a genius.
Yeah, he spent the summer at MIT on a paid internship. So yeah, he's a smart cookie.
Smart cookie.
Yeah.
18.
So, 18. Yeah, he just turned 18. So yeah, we're going to be honored to have him come chat with us a little bit about the science that he's been doing, and we'll do that. We'll do that before Tony breaks out the meat. So we're somewhat
I'll be
cognizant
there
of
early.
it. But then you break out the meat and then you won't remember. So there you go.
Do you register for this?
Yeah, you do register. You go to the. It's up on the event schedule. There will also be an email out, probably early next week, that'll have the buttons that you can push to register for either one of those two.
Is there cost on it on the night that Bee Gala?
Yeah, it's either $20 or $25.
And at the door, do you have to do that prior somewhere?
You should do it prior, because Michelle will hurt you if you do it at the door.
Just checking.
I'm not
$100 at the door.
I don't, nope, I reconcile. So you're good. Whatever you guys want to do.
$100 at the door.
$100 at the door? Okay, thank you. All right, so before I go any further into this is still part of my minute. All right. Anybody know what this is? Light washer. Guess what? The club made these a couple of years ago, and we ran out. So last Thursday, George, Vince, and I built 40 of them. So we now have 40. Actually, I think we did 48. 2 of them had to be thrown away because the heat gun burned down the side of the plastic. It's like, crap. So anyway, we got these. Members are $10, non-members $15. So we've got them available. If you need a light washer, there you go. All right. We're going to talk about Varroa people mites. No, I'm sorry. We're going to talk about ticks. That's us. That the ticks don't go for the bees; they come for us. I went out to go to the next slide, please. Went out to the Sugartown Apiary. I think it was in June. Walked into the apiary. We've got a lot of flagstones down, and there were ticks everywhere. I crushed 6 of them. They were crawling on the flagstones. They were all over. That's a heavily deer-infected area, or infested area, and that's one of the vectors for ticks is deer. But the other vector for ticks that bite us, are mice and rats, little rodents. And so it's part of their three-host cycle. Is they will get into the mice as small nymphs. They'll fall off. They'll do their thing for a few days. Then they'll go back onto mice or rabbits or something's running around there. Small mammals. They sit there for a bit, fall off, and then they get onto the deer, and then that's where so you can get them from any one of them. So there's a lot of ways that you can get ticks on you, and it's pretty nasty. And this is the kinds of ticks that we see here. By the way, this presentation, a lot of it is from Penn State Extension, Robinstein. So if you look at where we are with bees, we're still seeing the dog ticks. I saw a couple of them out there at one of the apiaries just recently. But you've got the black-legged, you've got the Lone Star, and then you've got this black-legged adult is what you're going to start seeing here this time of year, or September.
No deer tick.
That's the black.
The black-legged. Yeah. Yeah. So, and all of them can be on deer. Just because it says it's a dog tick doesn't mean it's not on a deer. Okay. So the kinds of tick-borne diseases that affect us, and this, but let me give you a disclaimer. 25 years ago, I was not doing well. The whole family wasn't doing well. Went to a Lyme specialist, and he did all the testing and said, "Oh yes, you have Lyme disease, you have ehrlichiosis, and you have babesia." So I was carrying 3 of these tick-borne diseases. My daughter, who was the least likely to have anything, actually had 2 types of ehrlichiosis, babesia, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, and Lyme disease. And she was the one that was displaying the least amount of symptoms. The rest of us were sore elbows and numbness in certain parts of the body, so it was not cool. So again, so the dog ticks can carry the Rocky Mountain spotted fever, and the tularemia, ehrlichiosis. So you've got all of these different diseases that you can contract from ticks. So just be aware that if you're feeling bad, you're running a fever, you've got a bullseye, you've got muscle or elbow pain, different kinds of things. As you go to your doc, you may want to tell them, I'm a beekeeper and I'm exposed to ticks all the time, because guess what? We are. When we're out and about in the hives, we can easily be exposed to tick bites. Okay. So how do you prevent this stuff? 1, dress properly. What does dress properly mean?
Long pants.
Long pants. Cover up. Yeah. How about, what would you do with the leggings of your long pants? Tuck them into your socks. Because just as well as it keeps the bees out, it keeps the ticks out too. Light colored clothing, so you can see the little bastards, little bugs crawling up your legs. I was doing exactly that, and I felt something on my eyebrow. I reached up, and I had a tick on my eyebrow. Well, I'd been out of the truck for like 3 minutes. They can be pretty darn fast. Use repellents. So don't use DEET, and I think we'll talk about it, but you can use other kinds of things. Do a tick check, manage your landscape, weed whack, be right to you. Manage the ticks and manage the host, yeah.
I have guinea hens, they take care of that.
I wish I could do the guinea fowl. The guinea hens will eat so many ticks. They are the tick killers of the world. So that's part of your manage the ticks.
Possum too.
Free range. Yeah.
Possums unfortunately also eat chickens.
Yeah, it's true. So yeah, tucking your pants in light colors so you can see them. Permethrin on your clothing. Do not put the permethrin on your, don't spray it on your skin. You spray it on your clothing, you let it dry, then you can put the clothing on. So you normally want to let it dry for a day, overnight, before you use this stuff. Because it's not good for us as people, but it's certainly really bad for ticks and other disease, animals, insects, sorry. It will kill bees, but generally bees are not crawling all over you unless you're, if they are crawling all over you, you got lots of bees on you, probably time to close the hive and go somewhere else. Yeah. Don't use DEET. DEET is, if you're not keeping bees, DEET's fun, but it can be an irritant to the bees, which can cause them to be all over you because they don't like that smell. And then some folks are using picardin and lemon eucalyptus. That can be fine. And then the most important thing, check for ticks, which can be fun if your spouse is, anyway, moving along.
TMI.
Whatever. So manage your landscape. So in most of the apiaries I'm involved with have either, like at Bonsville Mill, the apiary is on a concrete slab. Real easy to manage ticks, as well as beetles, yes, but the wax moths. Yeah, wax moths, they like to go, they have to have a place for the larvae to go dig into the soil. And if there's no soil, they can't dig in. So at Bonsville, or at Sugartown, we have pavers. In my home apiary, I've got pavers and other things that keep the landscape controlled. Keep it cut low. If you've got grass, like George does a lot of the cutting out, most of the cutting out at the apiary, and Mike is out at the queen yard, so the apprentice yard and the other keep it cut short, which also helps keep the mice and deer away. They like the tall stuff, so that can help as well. And then keeping the deer away, maybe with a tall fence, because they can jump. I've seen a deer from a stand jump over a fence this tall, standing right next to it, just went. I saw it doing this, and it just went boop, right over. So if you're going to keep the deer out, it's got to be a tall fence.
8 feet.
What's that?
8 feet.
8 feet, yes.
Yeah, 6 feet they go right over.
Yeah. Okay, tick tubes. They're these tubes that are full of cotton, and it's got some kind of a pesticide in it. Mice go into them. They grab the stuff and they use it in their nests, but it kills the ticks. So it's probably permethrin, I would guess. Yeah. Toilet paper rolls. Yeah. Put some cotton in there, covered with permethrin. And again, the 3 hosts I mentioned. Yes.
You did that, and you put the permethrin in something like that you're hoping that mouse is going to go through. If let's say a bird picked that up for nesting material, is there any issue?
I don't know.
Is it harmful to other?
Yes, but I don't know how harmful that would be. And if you, for mice, you want to take those tick tubes and put them down in, like where they would run. So it's down.
Okay, so
against the corner.
it's placement issue.
Placement issue, yeah. So you generally aren't. If it was up and about where birds can get to it,
right,
that might be an issue. But if you've got it down in corners and along edges, you should be fine. Next slide. Okay. So how many have seen the tick shield signs go up on your neighbor's yards? Where they come in with these big smokers or foggers and they're fogging the entire yard to kill the mosquitoes and to kill the ticks. Does that impact the bees?
Sure.
Absolutely. Is it really, really bad? It's bad, but it's not really, really bad because I've got people on two sides of me using that tick shield, mosquito shield, and I have not had a problem. There are, but it certainly can. You know, if they were doing it at the wrong time of day, or if the wind is blowing into my yard, that could be problematic. Certainly on the bees.
But you don't have ticks.
Huh?
But you don't have ticks.
But then my bees are now affected,
Yeah.
and they've been weakened. It may not have killed them, but they're weakened. They got back in the colony, and they're weakened. And now you have a weak hive that can be overtaken by all sorts of other bad things. So yeah, if you're going to use that if you got to use something to kill the ticks, it's the water-activated granular stuff. Same thing with ants. You know, you use this granular stuff along the ground. The bees are not likely to get into it. If it's being sprayed around the yard, especially in the morning when the dew is there, the bees are coming out, they're collecting the dew, collecting that water, or they're collecting nectar, which has the insecticides in it, and taking it back to the hive. That's I think the biggest problem can come there. So if they're going to spray, you really want them to spray in the late afternoon. Okay. So there you go. There's your prevention. Next. All right, so this is a completely different topic. Right break. Any questions on ticks? Not good. Even if you fry them up in butter, they're not that good. So there you go. So this was Broodminder out of Europe did this, and you can see the metal topped hive with the nice stainless steel reflective container. Next slide. So what he's done here is he's painted it with a lime kind of a coating. It's a thick white paint. And the question was, what would be the right color to prevent as much heat from the sun getting into the hive? And so you think about it, you go, well, it's like a mirror or reflective. That would be pretty effective, right? So what they tested was a very shiny surface, a dull metal surface, and then this stuff. Yeah.
I'm curious about the desire to reduce heat in the hives, given we talked last year about the heat helping reduce varroa.
Yes, exactly. Well, next slide. So here's what they were finding. Inside the hive was running at this is your brood zone at 33 centigrade, which is about 93, 94 degrees Fahrenheit. So what they were finding is that with the unpainted cover, that it was 12 degrees warmer under the cover than with a white painted cover. And these outer covers were not just standard covers, they also had insulation in it. And then they put the temperature sensor right under that insulation above the inner cover. And that's where they were doing their temperature checks. So with a white painted cover, it was 12 degrees cooler than with a steel cover. Yes?
I'm trying to understand this graph. I don't see what color and
I'm sorry, yeah. So the white painted one is this line, the blue. The green is the other white painted line, and then the matte, which is the dull steel is the red line, and this is the
What's a dash line?
reflective, and that dashed line is the ambient.
Okay, so what you're really just looking at insulation value, not just low or high. You have less variability in that blue line, which is the white.
Right, well, yes, yeah, exactly. So it keeps the
It's
high
moderating
temperature
it.
more constant, yeah.
Thank you.
But if you go back one slide to the QR code, you can see the video online. It's an interesting. It's short. It's like 5 or 6 minutes. You can watch that video, and it really brings it home, because I know that when I go out to a hive that has a silver cover, if I put because I go gloveless, I put my hand on that. It's like, dang it, I should have known. And then I got one up at Bondsville that has it's a copper lid, but it's all patinaed out and it's really dark. That sucker is like cooking egg on it. So yeah.
So a couple of things before we get into what our bees are doing now. I'm sure everyone reads their emails that come from the club. You've probably seen these things coming that are called Live at the Hive events. So this is Mike, Joe, and I out at the Cheslin Apiary. We're just doing pop-up events, talking about different topics. We've done mite washing, we've done queen finding and queen marking, and next week on Wednesday at 6, I think, or 5? 5. Next Wednesday at 5, we're doing food stores in the hive.
Did that get canceled yesterday?
Say that again?
Did that get canceled yesterday?
I don't think so.
Oh, you were doing it next Friday, not this Friday?
No, Wednesday.
Oh, Wednesday.
Right, so they're going to be moving around. So just to let you know, you could have no experience, you could have a lot of experience. We're just sort of showing up and just kind of getting into the hive, teaching on a particular topic. Everybody's welcome. If you're experienced, show up and you can add to it. If you're not experienced, you can show up and learn. Both are welcome. So far we had 15 people at the mite washing one. We had 10 people at the queen spotting one. So I think people are liking them. And the reason why I know that is because someone from the mite washing one emailed me afterward and said they went home and did 3 mite washes, and it was the first time they did mite washes. And someone actually from the queen spotting one sent me an email afterwards. They actually went home and marked all 3 of their queens. So that's the goal, is to sort of
awesome.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It's really awesome. So that's the goal, is to learn something new.
Did you do one yesterday though?
We did one a couple days ago with Sumed, Dr. Sumed. Dr. Sumed's interesting. He's a guy who's about 40. He's a material science engineer. So he did his PhD in material science engineering, and he basically has created these tiny micro capsules that you can't even see. They're like 20 nanometers big, and these capsules have a little hole in them, and somehow he's getting thymol into these micro capsules, and he's testing the delivery system to treat for mites. So he reached out to the club, and we said, sure, we'd love to help you out on your research. And so a group of us were out at the apiary sweating our buns off, helping Sumed, who had never worked bees. He was a cute guy. And it was quite the sight, wasn't it? It really was. Well, we got all the hives tested. We got mite counts on them. We got treatment on them, and we'll see how it goes. And he was very appreciative. So that's the cool thing about the club, is to help people out, right? So so that was that. And there'll be more of these pop-up events. So if you see them and you're free, come on out. We'd love to have everybody if possible. So let's talk about what's going on in my hives, or what's going on in your hives. For those of you who don't know me well, I've been doing beekeeping for about 15 years. I manage this year about 60 colonies. My beekeeping is 3-part. I'm a part innovator, so I'm always sort of working on new ideas and new concepts. I also make honey, and I love teaching and learning myself. So that's my personal goals of my beekeeping, is why I continue to do this and get stung and get, so we all have some motivation to why we do this, and that's great, For me, it's innovation, it's a little bit of honey, and a lot of learning. So this year's, anyone feel like July and August or July and August this year is different than other years at all? If you think
Oh,
it's
yeah.
different, raise your hand. So what's different this year?
It's made honey.
Everything's early. Everything's early.
Everything's early. What do you mean?
My asters are already blooming.
Stuff is blooming early. Anyone else notice anything
My
different?
bees feel the super in July.
Yeah, no, the bees are filling supers in July. Yeah, and I think that's what's different this year on a lot of the colonies, that they're continuing to bring in nectar through July and August, which to me is different, right? Like to me, I usually think of July and August as a break. Honestly, like my active beekeeping can be less because there's a dearth, and when there's a dearth, the bees are not taken off into the trees and swarming. You know what they're doing this July?
Swarming.
They're swarming. They're swarming. And that's something, and that's what's cool thing about beekeeping is that what you're seeing in your hives is really dependent on you as a beekeeper and your man, but also on the ecosystem and the environment and the weather that's happening, right? So this year, I think, now what I think doesn't really make a difference because I'm not a scientist, I have an opinion, I can go on YouTube and post it, but what I think is different this year is I don't think the summer, well, we've had two things that I think have made the nectar continue to produce this year. One is the rain, right? We've had ongoing rain. And secondly, which I think is more important than the rain, is we haven't had a lot of temperature above 90 degrees. You know, we've had a lot of this 85 to 90, but we only had that one stretch in June where it was 100. But pretty much up until this day or two, most of the temperatures have been 85 and 90. And what's the difference when it's above 90 or below 90? It's whether or not the plant is producing nectar or not. The plants shut off when they're above 90 and they don't produce nectar. So when they're not producing nectar, the bees aren't bringing it in. So if the temperature is less than 90, the plants are continuing to bring nectar and there's lots of honey production. That's my 2 cents on it, why this year is different than the other years. But I truly believe that the bees are filling supers right now, which is unusual, right? Usually they're not filling supers. And my management in July and August is not focused on super management. Usually my July and August management is focused on what? Mites, right? It's all about mites. You know, my super management is April, May, and June, right? And I'm harvesting April, May, and June. And come July, I'm trying to go like this with my hives, right? I'm going like this. And what do you think happened?
They went like this.
They went like this. I'm going like this, and the bees are going like this. Why are the bees going like this? Because there's nectar out there. They're only responding to what's going out there, right? So usually, you know, they're not expanding in July and August, but this year with the nectar flow, they're expanding. So what happened when I made my hives like this? And I lost a fair amount, not a fair, but I did very good April, May, and June at preventing swarming. And then I said, you know, for me, it's the summer solstice. June 21st comes, and I was like, I'm done. I'm done going into my hives. I'm tired. I'm done harvesting honey. I'm going to figure out my mite management, and I'm done. And that's what I did. And sure enough,
They said they're not done.
they're not done. So my inspection when I went to go measure mites and treat in July, I opened up a bunch of hives, and guess what I saw?
Tons of bees.
Lots of bees and some hives, less bees, and no brood because the queen took off late. So anyway, so will that happen again next year? I hope so. I hope so, because this is cool.
This happened 5 years ago.
This happened 5 years ago?
5 or 6 years ago. We had a fall flow. We had an early or late summer, early fall flow.
So we're all hoping that as the goldenrod and the asters start to bloom, that this continues to happen. Who knows whether or not. I personally think 3 days of 95-degree weather is going to shut this all down, and we're going to be back to what August usually feels like, which is dry and not much flow. Right now, there's lots of flow still coming in, I think.
Yeah, we're working
Who
on
has
the
seen-
7th heat wave though.
Yeah, no, this week it's going to be warm though.
So
Sure.
91 degree
we've
high.
never had that much
One
heat.
day.
One day, yeah. How many people are seeing the honey looking different? I mean, dark honey or light honey?
What about fermented honey?
Light.
Light.
Very light.
Light?
I'm getting fermented honey in my nukes.
Yeah, so you pull a frame and you see bubbles coming out of the nectar. That's fermentation.
I think
so
because
take
a lot
it,
of
Tony,
nectar
turn
coming
it
in
to
and
wine.
the
Yeah, we'll
temperature.
talk to Tony.
So
These are burning.
So I took my supers off and they swarmed. A bunch of them swarmed, but I got more honey than the supers that I had on. That was different this year. So what else have I been doing? I've been sort of in my hives in July. July is usually, historically, July 15th has always been mite treatment day in the club. Keith Jardine started this back when he was president and said everybody in the club on July 15th should treat their hives for mites, and that's universal treatment. The reason why he thought that, and I'm pretty sure I understood why Keith thought that, is because if we all treated on July 15th, we would knock the mite level down across the county and potentially get ahead of these mites, right? If everyone universally treated on July 15th. So that's the way I was taught, and so I do something on July 15th or around that for mites. So this year I did one of two things, basically. So half my hives got Formic Pro. Anyone else use Formic Pro? A handful of people use Formic. It was nice using Formic Pro this year, right? Because you had a lot of opportunities to put Formic on your hive, because the temperatures were generally around 85 degrees, right? Formic is usually a tough thing to use in the summer, because if you put it on and it's too hot, you get this flash Formic burst, and your queen dies, and your bees die, and the grass. Formic is working when you look outside the hive and the grass in front of your hive is all brown. It's like, okay, there was a fair amount of Formic in that hive. I think this year, I shouldn't talk about conspiracy theories, because but I will. Anyone notice that Formic Pro didn't feel as strong this year when they opened up the package, or no? No, Formic Pro is not as strong as Mite Away, but I even think now, I think Formic has weakened their product just a little bit more, maybe. Anyway, because they don't want to see the queen death. So anyway, this is irrelevant to what is going on here, what I'm talking about. So in July, on July 15th, I decided to treat my hives for mites. And I did mite levels on them all. Not on them all, on some, but I ended up treating everything. Just because I have 55 hives and it would take too long for me to decide if this hive needs treatment, that hive doesn't. So everything gets treatment July 15th. That is probably one way of beekeeping. If you have 2 or 3 hives and you're checking your mite counts and your mite counts are low, don't treat them. There's no need to treat it if it's low, honestly. But anyway, you get the idea. I treated all mine. So half of them got Formic Pro on July around 15th because the weather wasn't hot. I used 2 strips of Formic Pro. Easy, right? You go, you open up your hive, you put 2 strips of Formic Pro on, you close up the bottom board, you're sort of done, right? So that was super easy. And I did that on half my hives. And then half my hives, I ended up caging the queen. So half my hives got Formic Pro, half my hives, the queen went in a cage. And the queen went in a cage for how long? 24 days. 3 weeks, 24 days. So the queen went in the cage for 24 days. That was harder than Formic Pro, right? Formic Pro was easy. You put 2 strips of Formic Pro on, you walk away, you're done. Cage is a little more difficult because you got to find the queen, and then you got to get the queen in the cage.
Do you just like making more work for yourself?
We're going to get into why in a second. We'll talk about that. You're like, George, you're creating a solution for not a problem, right? I've been accused of doing that all the time. So half my queens went in this, basically went in here, and this went into the hive, and the queen was in here for 24 days. 21, 24 days. You can do different protocols, but you basically cage the queen. Why cage the queen? Right, you're trying to let all the brood hatch out, and then you're going to treat the hive. So I put the queen in here for 24 days, I let the queen out, and then I borrowed Mark's vaporizer and did 2 grams of oxalic per brood chamber and treated the mites that way, right? So half the hives got Formic, half the hives got this. So what would be the event? So let me talk. So I did a bunch of this, so I have some insight. So let me share. The ones that got the Formic, I didn't see any queen loss this year with the Formic. So that was nice, because usually I get some queen loss. I didn't see any queen loss with the Formic. Formic's really easy. I don't know whether or not Formic worked or not, honestly. I have a concern that maybe Formic is not as effective as Formic used to be, and I don't know. I didn't do mite counts. The nice thing about Formic, it's super simple, right? You just put it on, you walk away, you're done. On this, none of the queens died. Well, one of the queens died in the cage. So one of the queens was in the cage and the queen died, but you know what? There was another queen in the hive. So the only reason why I lost the queen when I caged the queen is because there was another queen in the hive. So whether or not it was a supersedure cell or a swarm cell that I missed, the hive had another queen. They had another queen that they accepted, so they basically killed the queen in the hive, in the cage. Oxalic vaporization. This is the first time in 15 years I actually ran a vapor. I had no clue how to run a vaporizer, right? So Mark gave me his vaporizer and a mask. I put the mask on. Vaporization is the easiest thing in the world, honestly. You know, it's like you drill a hole in the bottom board, you get this expensive. That's the downside. It's like $450 to get a vaporizer. You put oxalic, you stick it in there, 30 seconds later you're done. Anyone else vaporize in this room? Oh, wow.
They make cheaper ones.
They make cheaper ones.
Yes. Not that. They make a gun one that's
They make
cheaper.
a gun.
Yeah.
$1.95. Super easy. Now the nice thing about so the nice thing about vaporization when you're broodless, it is the most effective way to kill mites, honestly. You know, because all the mites are outside the brood. You hit it once, and the mites are dead. And there's good science behind that. So it only takes you 30 seconds per hive. Now the cost, oxalic's much cheaper in the end if you have a vaporizer. If you don't have a vaporizer, then Formic becomes cheaper. So my take on this, it's my take on this. I think from a time standpoint, it takes a little bit longer to cage the queen, to find the queen, put the queen in the cage. I think from an effectiveness standpoint for mites, I really think that the broodless period, oxalic, I have more confidence in than Formic, honestly, right now. So that's the plus and the minus to those. Do you kill queens by caging them? No. Do you create super seizures? So that's the other concern, is that when you put the queen in there for 24 days, right? One is, are they going to kill her? No. Two, are they going to make emergency cells somewhere because the queen's not in there? No. Are they going to supersede her when they let her out? Sometimes. Yeah. So that will occur. Now, this time of year, probably 20% of your hives are going through supersedure anyway, right? So if you go into look at your hives right now and you see a queen cell in there, more than likely that is a most years it's a supersedure cell, not a swarm cell. This year's a little bit different, but more than likely that's a supersedure cell. So this is when they supersede the queen, right? So they want a new queen going into winter. If you see a supersedure cell in your hive, a queen cell in your hive this time of year, I generally let it be. I don't cut it out, just because the bees are trying to supersede it. So obviously, if you put the queen in the cage and you let the queen out, there's a certain percent that are going to be superseded. But to me, that's a better outcome than emergency queen with Formic, right? So if you have to decide whether or not you rather have a new queen in your hive because of a death related to Formic, or a new queen in your hive because they superseded the queen when you let the queen out of the cage, I would take the supersedure cell out of the cage 1,000 times versus the emergency cell they make with Formic. The emergency cells they make with Formic are a problem because they're making a queen cell when you have Formic through the hive and they're just choosing whatever is available. So anyway. So I think this hasn't been talked about because there hasn't been a cage available. I kind of like this, not because I'm making this cage, but I kind of like it anyway. But you have to be able to find the queen. If you can't find the queen, you can't put the queen in the cage, you know? So anyway.
Why do you have to put her in a cage? Why can't you just use the oxalic acid and?
Now some people do oxalic acid this time of year. They do it every 5 days.
Yeah.
Right? So every 5 days they're going into their hive and vaporizing the hive.
Well, you're not going into the hive, you're pulling the golf tee out of the hole. And
they say every 5 days for 5 treatments gets the brood cycle.
Right.
The reason to do this is because it's a one-time. You know, because why you're doing it every 5 days is because oxalic won't kill the mites that are in the brood, right? So you have to keep doing it over a cycle of brood to get all the mites. Does that make sense? When you cage the queen and let her out in 24 days, there's no more brood. So you can just treat the hive once and be done with the mites.
What about the foragers?
Well, you treat the hive early in the day or late in the day when all the bees are back in the hive. Yeah, so you have to do oxalic when the majority of the bees are back in.
Rainy days work.
Rainy days work, you know. I wake up early, you know, that works. Some people go to bed late and you can go out in the dark and vaporize. I basically drilled a hole in my bottom boards. So in the back of my bottom boards, I drilled this little hole and it was so cool. I stuck the vaporizer in there and 30 seconds later I moved to I was like, dude, why have I taken 15 years to learn how to do this? I should have been listening to Carol. She says, you've been vaporizing for how long? Forever.
As long as you.
As long as I've been doing 15 years of
Me too.
non-vaporizing. She's been doing 15 years of vaporizing, and I finally
Figured it out.
figured it out.
George, why do you go in the back, not the front?
Just because.
You know, because bees are coming out the front.
What's that? What's that?
I do a hole between the two boxes, right at the bottom box, that has space in it.
Right. But you still have to close off the front,
Somewhere.
right?
You close off the front.
You throw a wet towel over the front.
I don't care.
Right.
I just leave it open.
Some people leave it open. A little bit comes out the front.
Well, a lot of the times the bees will come out when it gets vapors in there, and they'll come out to the front,
Oh.
and all the
Yeah.
out of the space, the entrance reducer will, they'll come out there, and then next thing you know, they're all sitting out in the front, and they get all vaporized.
Yeah, the vapor's going up and down.
Right. So they get it.
They get it.
Sometimes
Sometimes
you
we
get
get
every single bee, but
You're never going to get every single bee, and you're never going to get every single mice.
right, no matter what you do.
So there's all people do all kinds of different, every 5 days, every 7 days, once a month they treat, people do all kinds of protocols, The best way to use oxalic is to go broodless. Honestly, it's a little more difficult, but if you're broodless and you hit the hive with oxalic, all the mites die.
Okay, George, you have a question over here with Michelle?
I have two questions for you. From your view, what's the latest you can cage a queen in the season? And then the second is, I was listening to a YouTube video where he was saying put the queen in the cage for 5 days. And I'm going, well, where's the value there? So could you, from your perspective, talk about both?
I don't know if they're going to allow me to talk for the time it takes to answer that question. But okay, when you can't, there's always a doubt, right? Chris Sim isn't here, but Chris Sim taught me. Some of you know Chris Sim, brilliant guy. Chris Sim is just so in tune with nature. He said, George, every time you do something, there's some sort of effect, right? You're going to cage the queen, you're going to cause that colony to not make any brood for 24 days, right? So you're going to eventually see a drop in the population of that colony, right? So you got to be careful about when you put the queen in the cage because, not when you let her out, but 3 weeks later, you're going to see a drop in that. So in my mind, for whatever it's worth, I need 10 frames of bees and 6 frames of brood to put the queen in the cage. So if I don't have a box full of bees and 6 frames of brood, I'm not going to cage the queen because I'm worried that 6 weeks after I cage the queen, my bee population is going to be at risk. I think if you have, now this is don't go home and hold me. I think if you have 10 frames of bees and 6 frames of brood, you can cage a queen anytime you want. Honestly, I think you're going to be okay. Now people. I'm not going to get into the weeds because I don't want to confuse people. But there are people that are caging the queens in spring for swarm control. They're caging the queens in the summer for varroa control. They're caging the queens in the fall to shut down brood production earlier on. But generally, you can cage the queen if there's 6 frames of bees and 10 frames of brood. And you're going to cage the queen. Some people, if for varroa control, 24 days is simple because why 24 days is simple is because all the brood is hatched out, right? So you release the queen and you treat with oxalic on the same day. It's a one-time kind of thing. Now some people will cage the queen only for 17 days and then a week later they'll treat the hive, right? Because the queen's laying but the brood is still open, right? So you can cage the queen for 17 days, let the queen out, let the queen start to lay, and then treat it with oxalic up until the time that larvae is hatched, right? So you have that window. So some people will do 17 days and then 7. In my opinion, this is just my one short opinion. If your colony had 10 frames of, you don't have to worry about the hive. That extra week in the cage to me is just easier. Like I let the queen out and I do oxalic on the same day versus needing to do it 2 separate parts, and I haven't seen a big difference in the population of the hives because of that. But if you're concerned, you could do it that way.
There's a third method, and that is you cage her, you hit her with oxalic, get her in the cage, and then 17 days later, you let her out, and then you hit it again because the uncapped drone brood at the beginning got hit with the oxalic, and then it got capped, but it's already been treated.
So if you could do the bee math, and some people actually cage the queen, and then every week they hit it, you know. So, and some people don't even cage the queen, and they hit it every week, and that works too, right? So it's
What you like to do.
What?
It's what you like to
It's
do.
what you like to do. It's what keeps your bees alive, right? So if you're keeping your bees alive, then
there's no wrong
you're,
answer.
You're generally doing a good job with your varroa management, right? Because what kills bees is generally disease related to varroa. So if your hives are living, either you have hygienic bees or you've kind of come up with your general management of controlling varroa works.
To answer Michelle's question on why would somebody cage for 5 days,
Yeah, that's what I wanna know too.
I don't know. George?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I caged a little bit for a week this spring, trying to break them from swarming. You know, so I experimented, like when I saw when I saw uncapped, once I knew that they were in the swarm mode, like they were making, we all know, you like go in there and you see uncapped swarm cells and you're trying to cut them out, and the next week you come back and they make uncapped swarm, and you're trying to, you know, because once they decide they're going to swarm, it's almost either like make the split or just let them swarm a little bit. I experimented with putting the queen in here for 7 to 10 days and then letting her out, and I think that may have stopped them from thinking about taking off a little bit. But that's, don't quote me or hold me to it, but anyway. But I don't see any purpose to cage her for 5 days, so I don't see why.
The question would be to know when he treated along that 5 day, right? Like, did he treat once, twice?
I'm gonna send him an email and see if he could just kind of explain his video.
Yeah.
I was confused.
So
There was
when
a question over here.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Okay, so this about sound complicated, but that's how my brain works. Okay, so if you don't have a large enough colony to be able to cage the queen, because you gave me those parameters, okay, because you are going to have a few weeks where there's no brood hatching because there was no eggs laying. Okay, so what if I took the queen and some resource and a few other bees, and I put them in one of those 2-frame nukes.
Pull the queen out.
Pull the queen out, put her in the 2-frame nuke, treat the basic hive, do the whole thing, and instead of caging her, I kind of cage her in that 2-frame nuke, and then I'll have brood from that 2-frame nuke, which should be clean, and I can add that brood back into the hive, therefore I don't end up with that period where there's no bees hatching, emerging because I didn't have a strong enough hive to have been able to cage the queen based on the parameters you gave me. With that,
Now, yes, and I get what you're saying. Now, if you pull that queen out, right? So say you have a colony, right? And it's small, and you want to pull that queen out.
I can't cage it because I didn't have your parameters.
Whatever, you pull the queen out. You know it's small. Then what are you going to do with it? Are you going to let them raise their own queen? Or are you going to put a queen in? What are you going to?
Well, I'm gonna put them instead of
Because you now have a queenless colony.
so they're gonna make a new queen because of that, right?
And you know how long it takes for if you pull that queen out?
3 days.
How long will it take before that you have a laying queen in that colony, right? You pull that queen out, you're going to ask that colony to make its own queen, go out and mate, and start laying. How long will it be from the time you pull that queen to have a laying queen in that colony?
But I'll have the brood
Anybody?
from
As
my
early as 3
2-frame
days.
nuke.
No.
About a month.
Yeah, about a month.
24 days at the earliest.
24 days minimum.
Yeah.
But
So-
since I took the other queen,
Isn't that fast? 24 days until you have that queen laying in there. So you really haven't
right? But
Done
if I,
done
but
anything
I'll be getting brood from the queen that I stuck in the 2-frame
to
nuke
put back.
to put back, so I don't have that time period.
Yeah, but that brood could have mites in it.
Yeah,
That
but
was
what's
gonna
preventing
might
that from happening?
They can have like.
Yeah, treat both.
Theoretically, if you pulled the queen with just a frame of eggs and larvae,
And treat
and
it.
you treated that into 2-frame nuke, that should be clean, and then you could recombine.
But then you're going to have to find
You have
that.
to crush and kill all the
You're
queens.
going to have to find that emergency queen, kill her, reintroduce and you don't really get anything out of it.
That's always a crapshoot too.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I see what you're trying to do, but at the end of the
Is
day,
to address that period.
you're making something complicated even more complicated.
I tend to do that.
You're definitely a beekeeper.
Jordan. Question here.
Questions?
You gotta laugh, right? No offense. I'm not trying to be rude.
No.
I hope it's
I
not
figured
taken
there
that
was a
way.
reason why it wasn't done, so
There's a reason.
explain why, thank you.
There may be a good reason not to cage a queen, believe me. You know what I mean? But in Europe, they're doing a lot of this, honestly. You know, in Europe, they are doing a ton of this because they're trying. Europe's different than America. They really have the goal in Europe to use less chemicals on their hive. In America, we like our chemicals. We like our drugs. We like our treatments. We're pouring them into the hive. So it's a different philosophy. And they have tropholalaps coming, right? And the treatment for tropholalaps is brood breaks, honestly. So one of the treatments to manage tropholalaps is to induce a brood break. So they are a lot closer to tropholalaps, Mike, than we are, you know, so they're using a bunch of this. Anyway, yes.
Just to clarify, I had read a study recently that oxalic acid, after you vaporize it, 3 days it stays in the hive. It takes them that long to clean it out.
Okay.
Just so there is an after effect. It's not like, you don't have to really close your stuff up really super, because it'll be in there when they come back.
And I wasn't sure, I did 2 grams, but then I hear there's people doing 4 grams. It used to be 1 gram, and now people say 8 grams, and some people say just like vaporize the whole bag of oxalic.
Stop it.
Just light it on fire.
Just light it on fire!
Has the 4 grams been approved yet?
4 grams is approved.
It is approved now?
If it got the right label.
For how big a hive?
1 box.
For 1
4
deep 10
grams in a
frame
box.
box?
Big box.
Wow, that's a
What do
lot.
you use for? Or 2?
4 is all my plunger and all holes.
I use 4.
Do it
4
twice.
for the
I have
whole
a
house.
big one, sometimes
You
I
do
it
twice.
But
Are you seeing any toxicity? I mean, from what I've talked to, no one says there's any toxicity of oxalic, which I find hard to believe a little bit. But the other thing I'm doing in my hives right now, which is important, this is going to be very brief, is deciding what configuration I want for winter, right? So at some point you have to decide what you want. Do you want 1 box? Do you want 2 boxes? Do you want 3 boxes? And sort of make that determination. You've got to have if you harvested a lot of honey, you've got to make sure there's enough resources for them to make the bees in the fall, your winter bees. So I'm not saying all hives need to be fed now, but if your hives are running light because either a management issue or a honey harvesting issue, you may want to start throwing some 1-to-1 on them so they're able to make their winter bees. If they have food, you don't have to worry about it. You know, it's a little bit early to worry about whether or not they're going to have enough food for winter, but you definitely have to worry about right now that they have enough food to make their fall bees, right? So if you have 20 pounds of honey and nectar and some pollen in your hive, you're going to be okay. But if you lift your hive and it's really light, you really should start to think about adding some 1-to-1 for them to make some winter bees, so you're not going into winter with no bees. That's all I had, Mark.
One other point, we were talking about this, Warren Graham, who's one of our master beekeepers, was talking about moving, he takes a full super, and puts it underneath the brood box to allow the bees to move that honey up into the brood box wherever they want to put it. But it's another technique that is, I've heard this used a couple of times, but taking that honey super and moving it down. Queen excluder off, and the bees are just moving the stuff around where they want it.
Yeah, bees generally, I do that in September. So for me, I most of my hives right now are 1 deep and 1 medium and swarm. But no, 1 deep and 1 medium and a queen excluder in between. And in early September, I'll take that medium box, as Mark's saying, put it down below the deep, take the queen excluder out, and in basically a week or 2, they take all that honey from the bottom and move it up into the deep. And then I take that medium off and I go into winter with a 1 deep. That's what I've been doing for a while. But anyway, we can talk more about that next month. Well, thank you for allowing me to ramble for a little bit.
For those of you who walked in and noticed that silver trailer outside that looked kind of interesting, that is the Philly Bee Guild's honey processing trailer. So it is a fully licensed and certified limited food kitchen. It's for the Bee Guild members. I happen to be a member of the Guild as of like a month ago, because like I saw that trailer up at the Bee Extravaganza at Penn State and went, this is cool. I gotta be a part of this. So what they're thinking, again, they're still in the process of figuring all this out. This thing is brand new. Extracting for $10 a super. If you leave the wax cappings behind, it's $5 a super. So for those of you who don't have a honey kitchen or access to one, the guild is not a bad way of doing that. So and I'll be, when we're doing after the meeting and we do the raffle, door prizes, I'll be out in the honey trail and I'll show you how that thing is set up. It's got honey tanks, it's got the auto filler in there, there's a 20 frame lysant extractor, there's clarifying tanks, there's an air conditioner, there's a generator. I mean, it's pretty awesome. I think they got a grant from Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture, which was USDA money to put this thing together, and I think it was somewhere on the order of about $50,000 for the year. Installation and build out in the whole 9 yards. So pretty cool capability in our area. You know, it's when I drove it out here yesterday, it took me 40 minutes. So, you know.
Have you used it, Mark? You haven't used it.
I've used it. I saw it, and it looks like it's. There's some things you have to do. You can't just pull up like that because you'll notice the trailer's at an angle. You know, you gotta get it down. You gotta put the jacks in the back. So, because Dave was telling me that he got in there without putting the jacks in the back. They started piling supers in there, and they had 10 supers in there, and the whole trailer just did one of these. Not cool. So, again, thank you very much. That ends our online session.